He's the new head man here at the University of South Dakota for the football program. Travus Johansen joining us now. And Travis, it's been a few months since you inherited that title from Bob Nielsen, but kind of a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, we've certainly hit the ground running. I think week to week it's changed. You don't get the job description all the time, and I don't think anybody in the country who's in this chair has the job description of what it's been. Been a lot of recruiting, a lot of getting our team online, a lot of responding to things. So yeah, it's been eventful to say the least.
Yeah, so you get through your first spring, and obviously that was an eventful spring because you're out there on the field doing the work that you need to do to get ready for the next season. And then there's the transfer portal news that kind of came through as that went on. How did you handle all that? I mean, I know you knew that was going to be part of it when you took this job. Every football coach knows that from this time going forward, that is just going to be a factor in all this. But how did you try to handle that on the fly and kind of set a good example from a leadership standpoint and how you were going to run this program?
Yeah, I think the reality was the people who didn't know what it was going to be like were players, right? Like, we come off a great season and you're heading into spring ball. This should be business as usual. And both players that left and were here, like it wasn't, the guys that left, it was such a hard thing for them in a lot of ways because none of them wanted to leave. That was the reality of it, and it continued to kind of snowball into a thing where it made some really tough choices for tough people, and then the players, what did that mean for the guys that were here, and so it was a little tumultuous. But the reality was, like, we've got such a tough, resilient group that believes in this place, and how do you continue to just inspire them through adversity? I think we learned a lot in the spring of, like, hey, when something doesn't go right, how does this team, the 25 team, handle that and continue to progress? And that's going to show its face at some point, whether that's in this season, whether that's dropping a game or having an injury or whatever that might be. We learned a lot about, just keep plugging along because now we're here and it's, it feels like a blip on the radar compared to maybe, a month and a half ago.
And obviously you guys have been very busy since then, not only just trying to replace those guys or as best you could, but adding to this in terms of the transfers you've brought in, and you're already at the 26 class pretty heavy. I know you guys had a recent weekend with a lot of commits as well. So that part of it feels like business as usual, but it's maybe a little bit more volume than you were expecting, I think.
Yeah, certainly. I think with, and we all knew what was coming with the NCAA house settlement, how that might affect other teams, guys we had recruited in the past that we thought might become available. So our 25 class with real intention was smaller. And as we kind of got to a finalization over really weeks and months of what the new house settlement rules were going to be. Some teams that were cutting their rosters, and there were great kids and families, 4-year, 5-year players that were still out there that we had known and had a great relationship with, that we were able to bring in our program and add to the 25 class. So we were kind of completing the 25 class, responding to the departures with some transfer needs, and then building the 26 class all at the same time. So we've got these three dynamics in recruiting all happening in the course of May and June, and our staff was unbelievable. Like Coach Rosenthal and as our general manager leading that push, and all of our staff diving into each family, getting them here, visiting, giving those guys the opportunity to make a great decision. It was a lot, and it still remains it. Recruiting is a lot, but when you add all in that dynamic, we had to make sure we're bringing in the right people for us at the same time of getting the talent to have a great season.
Well, you mentioned the house settlement. Obviously, that has been one of the buzz phrases in college athletics over the last several weeks. But mid-June, John Schemmel, the athletic director here at USD, announced that USD would be opting in to that house settlement. That means a lot of things for a lot of people. What's it mean for you?
I think every decision that John makes and Sheila makes above him are in the interest of our student athletes, period. And we originally were not going to opt in for that reason. Part of the house settlement was there were going to be mandated roster cuts that were going to put a lot of our student athletes' experience, it was going to take them away, not just for football, but all sports. And so as a university, that's certainly not in the spirit of what we're doing. I don't think that's fair to student athletes. And for us, in a way, it was going to be an advantage. If we don't opt in, we've got bigger rosters. In a way, we could, bring in some more talent and people that fit us. As that settlement kind of finalized, one of the things that didn't happen was the mandated roster cuts. They weren't going to reduce roster sizes immediately, and we're going to grandfather everybody in that's already on rosters to ease that pain a little bit. So at some point we will get to 105, but we decided that protects everybody's spot now, and what's in the best interest of the student athlete. Well, it gives us the ability to now compensate student athletes, maybe better than we have before, with more control over that. It gives our supporters more of an opportunity to give to the program in a way that makes sense for them. So holistically, it was no brainer then to opt in, as long as the student athletes that were here, didn't get their opportunity taken away. So I think all in all, John and Sheila made a great decision to say what's in the best interest of our Coyotes, and did that.
Back to the football side of things now, and focusing more in on what you're here to do, and that's win a bunch more football games. And there's been 21 of those over the last couple of years, and I know you're excited about what you're bringing back and what you've added to the program. This time period obviously is unique because there's only so much you can do in terms of interaction with the players until you get to that fall camp part of, well, what do you need to see out of this group so that you guys really can hit the ground running, end of July, early August for that fall camp part of your year?
All summer long, we are still achieving from a football standpoint, from a strength conditioning standpoint, and a culture standpoint. And when you bring in a number of new people, we've invested a lot in, what's the makeup of our team, how are they going to create these bonds like we've had, an unbelievable brotherhood of players over, really my entire career. They've been great guys and teams, resilient people, like-minded people the entire time. So how do we make sure that our incoming guys are that? Number one, we recruited them. Like, we didn't just recruit their film and their talent. We recruited their parents, their backgrounds, how they'll fit, how they'll add, not detract from our people. And so, creating those relationships has been huge. Coach Traver and his staff and strength conditioning, unbelievable, 5 days a week with those guys. And then we've got a really detailed, football end of things. We get, a short amount of time within our 8 hours a week, but we're able to meet and install, and then our players, lead their own captain's practices in which they take a lot of things and put on that field. So we're really strategic about getting those guys up to speed so we can hit fall camp running.
How excited are you for that?
I'm ready for that to be here. Put the recruiting away for a while and just focus on ball, the players in Iowa State. I think that's really what we've worked really hard to get ourselves in position to do. I know our players are really excited to start that venture. But we've still got 6 weeks of hard training and football development to happen. And so certainly not impatient. We know it's a process in which we've got to go through. We need that 6 weeks before we kind of start fall camp. But I think everybody in the building would be lying if we're not excited for August 30th.